Okay, hello. We are back for more Taylor Swift song ranking. Thankfully, it did in fact save what I'd done. Oh great, just as I start recording, there's a siren outside. That's fun. It's the getaway car. Uh where do we get to? I think we just finished Rep, hadn't we? Yes. So we're going into Lover. So I'm really excited for the next four albums because like Speak Now is my like one of my favorites. Like I have a lot of opinions obviously in the earlier albums, but I think I've got like more to say about the final four albums. So yeah, just really excited to get into these eras, especially into the Folklore and Evermore era. I am so excited to talk about that. But Lover is an album I absolutely love. I don't understand why some people criticize Lover because seriously, when that album came out, I had it on repeat like every single day. I just remember I have such clear memories of sitting on the train going to work in 2019 and just constantly playing Lover. Like I can still see it in my head, like walking up the street towards my office building and just like with like Cornelia Street, Paper Rings, Cruel Summer, like I can hear it in my head. I can feel like all I can still picture like the entire scene, the sights, the smells, the feeling, like the sound of the cobblestones that I was walking on, like the cafe that I used to walk past and it's haggis and cheese paninis. Like I can picture it so clearly. Lover was such a good album. It's still think it's like one of her best. But some people really don't like it, and it just baffles me because so good. But anyway, right. So Lover, let's go. So I forgot that you existed is actually hilariously, ironically enough, going into I forgot that you existed. Even though I've got it twice in the actual thing, I just don't really care about I forgot that you existed, and I never listen to it. Like I always just put on the album and just start it from Cruel Summer. Like if I'm loading the album up, I just bring up the album and click Cruel Summer and play it from there. I never listen to Forgot You Existed. I forgot that it existed. Yeah, not my fave. Right, Cruel Summer is obviously God tier. Cruel Summer is one of the best songs she's ever had, and it still baffles me that it wasn't a single. Like, it feels like it was a single, but it wasn't. And it's so funny because it's like one of her most popular songs. Like, everybody lost their minds when she came out. When the fact that she started the Eras tour, like the actual concerts, the fact that she starts with the Lover era and she comes out doing Miss Americana and then goes into Cruel Summer, like everybody collectively lost their minds on night one when we saw that. Like, oh my god, she's opening with Cruel Summer because like that is one of her most popular songs. Everybody loves that song. Like I don't know anybody who doesn't like Cruel Summer. It's so good, but it is incredible that it's not a single because it's one of her biggest songs, despite the fact that it was never publicly released as a single. Crazy. But like I Love You Ain't That the Worst Thing You Ever Heard. He looks up grinning like a devil. It's incredible. Incredible. Okay, Lover. So, Lover is Lover is not love, not hate, just indifference. I don't think Lover's that good. Like, it's fine. Lover is I just think it's kind of there. Like, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand with all these guitar string scars in my hand? I take this magnetic force of a man to be my lover. Is an incredible bridge. I can never remember what the line is. Like, my heart's been barbelled? Like, what is the word? I don't know what it is. And your heart's been bruised. All's well that ends well to end up with you. Something, lover. Um, I love the lyrics, but I just don't think it's that exciting of a song, right? Like, I don't. Like, it's indifference. The Man. The Man is Maple Leaf Status. So I've got a funny story about the man. So you will remember my CEO, right? The one from the Talks at Workplace video, the one that I talked about and earlier on in this ranking when I talked about I Bet You Think About Me and how it reminds me of him. So CEO, he was doing a speech one day, right? And I wrote his speeches. That was part of my job. I wrote his speeches. And he never bothered to proofread them before he went out because he just could not be arsed. He was supposed to proofread them, supposed to make changes, personalise them, never did. So, which was why it was so like important for me to be able to capture his voice accurately. But anyway, so he was doing a speech for International Women's Day, and he was always, that was one thing I have to give him credit for, was that he was very, very passionate about women in the workplace, women in positions of power. Unfortunately, the woman that he gave a lot of power in our company was the one who orchestrated my downfall. And sometimes, you just shouldn't give quite so much power to someone who is such a maniac, but So he's doing a speech for International Women's Day, and I decided to include in his speech, um, Taylor Swift once said, "I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man." And because he never proofread it, he read this out on stage because he had he didn't see it coming, and he just said it, and it was hilarious because the girl that I worked with, the girl who sat to my right, is the biggest Swiftie I've ever met. Her and my friend Nat are joined for the biggest Swiftie I've ever met. She is in like the top 0.3% of listeners on Spotify or something. And she came into the office and she's like, "I cannot believe you did that." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so that was funny. But yeah, I think the man's great. I think it's a bop. I think the lyrics are so good. Like, when everyone believes you, what's that like? I remember the first time I listened to this and I was just like, she's got it so spot on of what it's like to be a woman trying to make it in any sort of business situation where everyone's just like, everyone just treats you like you're an idiot. And she's got it so right. And I love it. I love the vibes. I love the tune. Great song. But always makes me laugh thinking of that incident at work. That's not why he ended up kicking me out of the business. He actually wasn't particularly bothered by the Taylor Swift incident. But makes me laugh. Okay, The Archer. Um, Maple, yeah, Maple Leaf status. So the first time I listened to The Archer, I thought it was great. And then I never really listened to it because I thought it was just a bit boring. Even though I thought it was great the first time, I never listened to it again. And then I heard it in an Even Flynn fan video and was like, God, I forgot how good this song was. And it's now completely skyrocketed to one of my favourites off the album. Like, it's so beautiful. And I know people say it's a flop and that it's boring. And I get it because I thought that for a while. But actually, like, no, The Archer is a fantastic song and it's underappreciated. Like, all of my heroes die all alone. I love that. Like, the lyrics are just so beautiful. Oh, easy they come, easy they go. I jump from the plane, I ride off alone. I never grow up, it's getting so cold. Let me hold on, help me hold on to you. I've been the archer, I've been the prey. Who could ever leave me, darling? But who could say? And then the bridge just, they see right through me, they see right through me, they see right through me. Do you see right through me? I see right through me, I see right through me. It's just, oh, it's beautiful. I love The Archer so much. It's a beautiful song. I think he knows is Death by Electric Chair. I never listened to the song. It sucks. And oh my god, right. I know people have said like that they thought the line was bless my toes, but I always thought it was that's my toe. Like, well, obviously I didn't. I didn't genuinely think that's what it was, but I couldn't hear anything else, and it took me so long to actually think to look up the lyrics and figure out that it's bless my soul. But I will always hear it as dude, that's my toe. Like, why is but clearly everybody else also says that it sounds like bless my toes. So like everyone thinks the line is toe. So like girl, you need to enunciate. You need to speak. Like I never heard lonely Starbucks lovers, but apparently a lot of people did. So you need to enunciate more, Taylor. Get those marbles out of your mouth, girl. In any case, though, I think he knows is really boring and just a crap song, and nah, I'm not having it. Death by Literature. Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince is straight into God tier. That was one of those ones that when I read the title, I was so excited, right? Because there's some songs where you just read the title and you're like, this one's going to be good. And Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince was the one I was so excited for. And when it came on, I was like, this is incredible. And it's probably, like, obviously I've got a lot of God tier up here, but I think Miss Americana is actually, like, in my top 10, maybe even my top 5. I love Miss Americana so much and I never get sick of it. And I wish it had a music video because I would have loved a music video. And because in my head, every time I listen to it, I see the cheerleaders, being like, hey, Man, I can see them in my head. I can see the whole video and like the high school and the corridors and like I know it's a song about politics, but like I can picture it in my head like what the music video would look like, and it's so sad that we didn't get one because it would have looked so good. Um but yeah, I think Miss Americana is one of the best songs she's ever made. And again, the fact when I sat down to watch the Eras tour the day after it happened, watching it via people's TikToks and YouTubes, and the fact that she came out, like the concert actually opened with Miss Americana, like that was the intro as she came out onto the stage. I was like, oh my god, she's opening with one of my favourite songs. I can't cope with this woman. So yeah, Miss Americana, god tier. Paper Rings. So Paper Rings used to be one of my favourites, but it's actually kind of grown to irritate me, so I think I'm just gonna put it in Marvelous Tune. Like I always really liked that song, but nowadays I don't really listen to it because it kind of gets on my nerves. But when Lover came out, I played this song constantly, so maybe I just wore myself sick of it. But it's so fun, and the lyrics are so funny. You know, it's like came home and tried to stalk you on the internet. And then I hate accidents, except when we went from friends to this. I love that. And of course, I like shiny things, but I'd marry you with paper rings. I love that. That's a beautiful lyric and kind of puts to bed the whole thing. I've seen so many people being like, Taylor never wanted to marry Joe. She said so in Lavender Haze. And it's like, yeah, but did you all forget Paper Rings where she said she would marry him with paper rings?
And I wouldn't marry me either.
Or in Peace when she's like, give you my wild, give you a child. Like, she clearly was planning the rest of her life with this man. Doesn't matter what Lavender Haze says, right? Like, you're missing the point. But Paper Rings is a ball, but I'm going to put it in Marvelous Tune just because I've kind of got wore myself sick of it. Cornelia Street is Maple Leaf status. And no, not just because it's got the word Cornelia in the title, and as we all know, I am a Cornelia Hale stan. She is my favourite character and my favourite thing in the whole world. That's not why. But yeah, I think Cornelia Street's beautiful. I love it. I love Cornelia Street. I think it's gorgeous. One of my absolute favourites from that album. Death by a Thousand Cuts. Death by a Thousand Cuts. I'm actually going to put in Indifference. So in Death by a Thousand Cuts, when I saw the title of the album, it reminded me a lot of Dancing with Our Hands Tied, right? I don't know why, the titles reminded me of each other. Death by a Thousand Cuts, Dancing with Our Hands Tied. And I thought I would love it as much as Dancing with Our Hands Tied, but I actually don't. I don't think it's one of her best, and it's kind of a skip for me. So, but I don't dislike it, and I don't forget that it exists the way that I did with I Forgot That You Existed. But it's a love hate indifference for me. You know I love a London boy. I enjoy walking Brixton, Shoreditch in the afternoon. I don't know if those are the right lyrics. Uh, Maple Leaf status. London Boy is just so funny and cringy and silly. It's just such a silly song, and the fact that she's got Idris Elba at the beginning being like, "We could ride around on my scooter," like what? Yeah, it just makes me laugh so much. And like, I remember when I went to London, I spent the whole like 5 days I was there, whatever, with this song stuck in my head because every time I saw a sign for like Shoreditch, Brixton, Camden, uh, Highgate, like anywhere like that, it just got stuck in my head again. So I just spent the whole time I was in London walking around hearing, you know, I love a London boy, boy, I fancy you. It's so annoying. But I love it. It's such a fun song. It's silly, but it's fun. I love it. Soon You'll Get Better, I'm not gonna rank, so I'm gonna leave it. The same as Ronan. These two are too personal and too sad. Soon You'll Get Better, it just breaks my heart, and it is really hard to listen to, especially if you have had anybody who has had cancer, which I have. Obviously, I've lost two friends, a grandmother, and an uncle to cancer at this point. So yeah, like definitely a really, really difficult song to listen to, but she's absolutely captured exactly how it feels, and like that line of like who am I supposed to talk to? What am I supposed to do if there's no you? I kept thinking that when we realized that my friend's cancer was incurable and terminal, and unfortunately they only ended up with a month. after that diagnosis. I thought about that a lot of what am I supposed to do if there's no you? And of course, the answer is you keep going and you figure it out as you go along. But I did think about that a lot because it is so true, is that you're just left. It's that state of when someone's got something like cancer, and you're just kind of in that constant state of being like, what is the future going to hold? What happens next? And I think, the fact that she's like, soon you'll get better because you have to, is so heartbreaking because it's like, I don't know if you're going to get better, but you have to get better because I can't face the reality of the opposite. And it was really difficult because, like, when my gran got cancer, we found out, like, right off the bat when she was diagnosed that the type of cancer she had is incurable. It was multiple myeloma, which is an incurable cancer. There's nothing you can do about it. You can treat it, and some people live quite a long time with it, but ultimately you can't cure it. It will not go away. And so, Soon You'll Get Better actually became sort of even worse to listen to because it was like there is no getting better for her. Like I relate to all the other lyrics, but it's like you won't get better because this is not a condition that can get better. So then it became even worse than it already was. So painful, sad song. Anyway, um, well, yeah. So I'm not ranking it because it's too sad, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. So False God, marvelous tune. False God is a marvelous tune. Yeah, no, I love False God. I know some people don't really care for it, but I love it. Like, the altar is my hips, even if it's a false god, we still worship this love. Like, when I heard that for the first time, that was one of those lyrics I was like, oh, it's like, the altar is my hips, even if it's a false god. I was like, I love it. I love that song. It does not get the credit it deserves, is what I have to say about that one. You need to calm down. Marvelous tune. I know some people hate that song, and honestly, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why she keeps releasing like Lover era, right? Lover era singles were so bad. Like her singles from Lover were Me, You Need to Calm Down, and Lover, and I'm like, girl, you picked like three of the worst songs from this freaking album, and like I love You Need to Calm Down, but should it have been a single? No, no. But she literally looked at this album, looked at all these incredible songs like Miss Americana, Cruel Summer, Cornelia Street, The Archer. Like, she looked at all these really good songs and was like, me. Like, you need to calm down. Girlie, what were you doing? This is why Lover Era is disliked. It's because she released the wrong singles. That is what I'm going to say. I'm going to die on that hill. Anyway, but yeah, You Need to Calm Down still makes me laugh, right? And like, it's so dumb. Like, why be sad when you can be glad? And like, Shade never made anybody less gay. Like, it is the silliest, straightest ally song. Like, this song should have ended the Gaylor discussion right then and there because there is no way that someone who is actually LGBT would ever write a song as cringy as You Need to Calm Down. This is the straightest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I still think it's fun, it's silly, it's a good time, and it comes on and I'm just like, Like, I still love it. The video was ridiculous. The Queer Eye guys were in it. Katy Perry was dressed as like hamburger or something. It was insane. I loved it. It's camp. It's ridiculous. I love it. Afterglow. Afterglow. Marvelous tune. Afterglow breaks my heart because it's another one of those songs where she's like saying that the relationship falling apart was her fault. It's like it's all me in my head. I'm the one who burned us down, but it's not what I meant. I'm sorry that I hurt you. I don't want to do this to you. Like, it's just a really heartbreaking little song, but it's also got a really beautiful melody and I just really like it. Me, Death by a Thousand Cuts, yeah. Death by Electric Chair. Yeah, Me is actually, yeah, Me is the worst song she's ever released. the thing about me is that I hate it so much, right, that it could almost go into I forgot that you existed off the back of the fact that my brain refuses to remember that me was ever a thing. Like, I hate it so much that I actually have tried to block it from my brain. I have tried to repress the memory of me's existence because of how much I hate it. The annoying thing was that the place that I worked at the time, I was talking obviously about my work, they had a radio that would play, and when I was sitting having my lunch in like the canteen bit of where I worked, it was constant every bloody day. On it would come, and I was just like, it was this, a Maroon 5 song that's name escapes me, but I didn't like it. A variety of songs from like the celebrity recording of the Greatest Showman soundtrack, and I hate the Greatest Showman, so that was annoying. And like a couple of other songs. That Maroon 5, is that one that was it was the one that sounds like Canon D. That one. Hated it. And me. That was the other one that they played constantly. So I'd be sitting there trying to just enjoy my lunch, trying to enjoy the 60 minutes of the day where I wasn't wanting to kill myself from being in my office. And all I could hear was, promise that you'll never find somebody like me. And I'm like, I want to die. I want to die. Like, for a completely different reason than I wanted to die before I left the room. I want to die. I hate me. Death by literature. It's nice to have a friend is I forgot that you existed. Like, it exists. Do I listen to it? No. Do I care about it? No. Do I hate it? No. Like, there's nothing especially wrong with it. It's weird, but I don't hate it. But it's very much, I forget that it even is real. Daylight. Daylight is marvelous, Jen. Daylight ending with the line, well, having the line in it of, I once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden. Honestly, like when I heard that and the fact that it was the last song on the album, like, because I have Red on CD, right? Back when I used to buy CDs, I have Red on CD, and she's got that whole thing in the album sleeve. She says like in the album sleeve, she's got this whole thing where it says about how true love is golden, and she's like, maybe one day I'll write songs about love that's golden if I ever find it, but this album was about a love that was red. And then in Daylight, she says, I once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden. And it's like she finally found that golden love. She finally found the true love that she'd been looking for so long. And I just was so emotional when I heard that because I was like, I'm so happy for her. But now, of course, it's over because her and Joe have broken up. She's apparently dating Matty Healy. And I mean, everyone has issues with Matty Healy because he's a bit of a shitty human being. But honestly, I have even more issues because I just refuse to accept that Taylor Swift is going out with Denise Welch's son. I am not having Denise Welch running around telling everyone about how Taylor Swift's her future daughter in law. I will actually spontaneously combust at the idea of Denise Welch being Taylor Swift's mother in law. I will actually just explode. No. We're not having Denise off of the Loose Women, Steph Haydock from Waterloo Road, being related to Taylor Swift. I'm just not having it. Like we thought that Jessie Nelson dating Colleen Nolan's son was bad, but we're in a different stratosphere of suffering now. Anyway, that was Lover. Lover didn't have any deluxe tracks, which I mean, thank God, because the album already had like 18 songs on it or some shit. I actually feel kind of bad that there's only two God tier from Lover on here. Like, how did Rep have more? But like, a lot of Maple Leaf Status though, and a lot of Marvelous Tunes, and only six down here. That's not great. It's a big album. I mean, what can you expect? Okay, so that was Lover. So, okay, we're going into the folklore era now. I'm so excited. I have so much to say about folklore. Well, let's get into it. So, when folklore came out, that was like a brain chemistry changing moment because I had truly never expected an album like that from Taylor. Like, never would I have thought she was going to release like a folk indie sad girl autumn album. I had never expected that from her. And the thing is that this is the kind of music I love. Like the Civil Wars, that kind of thing. I love it. I love sad acoustic guitar music anything that makes you feel like you should be in the forest, right? And then she came out with the album cover and it was her in a forest. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, it's as if she looked into my brain and was like, this is what this girl needs. Right? We're in the pandemic, life sucks. She's in literally the worst situation of her life. You know what I'm gonna give her? Folklore. And I'm like, Taylor, I can't believe how well you know me. You saw into my soul and you gave me what I needed, and I appreciate that. Um, so yeah, folklore was a life changing moment. So let's get into it. So the one, marvelous tune. I remember because me and my friend, right? So remember my Swifty friend that I worked with. So we were both working from home because this was the pandemic and we'd all been sent home by now. But it came out, so we were texting each other with opinions on like every single song on the album. First thing she texted me was, "I can't believe she's still singing about Jake Gyllenhaal after all these years." And it's like, yeah. And then she went on to sing even more because then she released Red Taylor's version with even more Jake Gyllenhaal songs. And it's like, yeah, that he really did ruin that girl's life. But yeah, the one is great, you know. Roaring twenties, tossing pennies in the pool, and it would have been cool if it would have been you. In my defense, I have none for never leaving well enough alone, but it would have been fun if you would have been the one. I love how it relates to Better Man as well, like, because in Better Man, she's like, you might have been the one if you were a better man, and in this one, she's saying, like, it would have been fun if you would have been the one. Yeah, great song, great song. Although I know people think that she was saying tossing panties in the pool, which I never heard because obviously we have pennies in the UK, so like tossing pennies in the pool. Tossing pennies in a fountain is like a quite common thing here. So, or tossing pennies in a well or anywhere really and making a wish. Um, Apparently also a thing that they do in Antiva, according to Zevran from Dragon Age Origins. But it's funny because in The Lion King 2, the song "Innupendi," I always hear is "in your panties." So I get where people are coming from. I have been there too. Cardigan is God tier, obviously. Cardigan really did alter my brain chemistry. Like, I turned it on, I was like, put on the one, and I was like, that's a good song. Yeah, I like that. Cardigan come on, and I was like, I'm speechless. I have no idea what to do with this information. I can't cope. What is this? Like, I just never expected it. Like, the one was like fine. Like, the one I kind of was like, a kind of, I can imagine something along the lines of the one on like her earlier albums. But, but, Cardigan, I was so unprepared for Cardigan. Vintage tea, brand new phone, high heels on cobblestones. When you are young, you assume you know nothing. Oh, I knew you stepping on the last train marked me like a bloodstain. I just I wasn't prepared. And then like my favorite line in the whole thing is leaving like a father running like water. Like I couldn't cope. It ended up being a ship song, but that's not why I loved it. But it ended up becoming my Tom and Liz from the Blacklist song, and I know that pretty much the entire Blacklist fandom hate me for being a keen squared shipper, but bite me. So let's move on. The Last Great American Dynasty is God tier because that is my favourite song off of Folklore. The Last Great American Dynasty blew my socks off. I was so unprepared. Like, because come on, and it's the thing as well is like, she's had. I talked about the Lucky One and how it reminds me of the Last Great American Dynasty, how they're quite similar. But apart from the Lucky One, she'd never really had songs that were specifically about someone else. So when it came on, it's like Rebecca rode up on the afternoon train. I was like, "Whoa, what is this about? Who is Rebecca? Like, what's going on here? Like, what is this?" Completely blew my mind. And then at the end, when she's like, "And then it was bought by me," and I realized that this was the song about Rebecca, last name escapes me, who owned her house that she owns. Taylor's house was the previous owner of Taylor's house. And the fact that she compares them and she's like, everyone thought that Rebecca was like this mad woman who had killed her husband from throwing two extravagant parties, and then she abandoned her house and it sat there for years until Taylor moved in. How Taylor is a lot like Rebecca and that everyone calls her a mad woman and everyone acts as if she's the problem and she's always causing trouble, and how she, throws too big parties and dates too many guys, and the fact that she basically took over the role of Rebecca in that house and like brought back the madness to Rebecca's Holiday House. Incredible. Incredible. And like she stole his dog and died at Key Lime Green. Now obviously I do know that in reality she actually stole his cat. It was I'm pretty sure that's the truth. It wasn't a dog, it was a cat. But maybe just dog sounded better. But yeah, she really did steal her neighbor's pet and die at Green because of some drama. Incredible. That woman was insane and in the best way. I mean that is a compliment. And yeah, there goes the last great American dynasty. I incredible song. Exile, Maple Leaf Status. I love Bon Iver, obviously, as anybody who grew up with Skinny Love. I love Bon Iver. But Exile is just a great song. You know, I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. I'm not your homeland anymore, so who am I offending now? You're in my crown now, I'm in exile, seeing you out. I think I've seen this film before. So I'm leaving out the side door. Incredible. Set right out, there is no amount of crying that I would do for you. All this time, I always walked a very thin line. I never learned to read your mind. Incredible. It's a wonderful song. I love it. 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 Probably her best collab ever. Because I'm not always a huge fan of her collabs. Like, obviously, I've got The Last Time and Run and Endgame, and that's when all down here and me. Yeah, so I've got, yeah, that's when The Last Time, Run, Endgame, and me are all collabs, and they're all in Death by Electric Chair. Well, I should say something about Taylor's collabs, but Exile, probably her best collab ever. That or Evermore, hard to pick. My Tears Ricochet, I would say marvelous tune. Yeah, My Tears Ricochet is heartbreaking. I absolutely love the lyrics of it. Um, yeah, just a beautiful song. I don't have anything particular to say about it. I just think the lyrics are gorgeous and it's so emotional, and I love it. Marble, I'm actually going to ruin all of your lives. So I saw a thing, I think it was Rolling Stone, that did the ranking of every Taylor Swift song. Now, I got something like 20 songs into the list from the bottom and yeeted right out of it because they had put A Perfectly Good Heart, Bad Blood, um, Superman, like a whole bunch of my favorites in the bottom 20. And I was like, this list is a mess. But they put Mirrorball as the third best Taylor song, and I just disagree so hard. I'm like, Mirrorball isn't even in the top five of folklore, never mind in her top five ever. Like, what are you talking about? I'm actually going to put it in indifference. Mirrorball is one of my least favourites off of folklore, and I'm sorry to this man, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not into the circus. Never been a fan of the circus or anything that reminds me of the circus. So her talking as if she's a clown maybe just gives me bad vibes. I don't know. Seven, Maple Leaf Status. The lyrics of Seven are so beautiful. You know, like grab your dolls in a sweater, we'll move to India forever, passed down like folk songs, the love lasts so long. And that verse, I've been meaning to tell you, I think your house is haunted, your dad is always mad, and that must be why, is the most innocent, childlike thing I've ever heard, where it's like your dad's like always shouting in the house, so your house must be haunted. It's just the most innocent, beautiful song about childhood love and childhood friendship that I've ever heard. And being like, let's get our toys. We'll move to India. Like we can just do that because we're kids and the world is our oyster and we have imagination and we can just do anything we want to do. Incredible, incredible song. It's so so lovely. August. Maple Leaf Status. Now, I know August is like everyone's favorite song, and I love it, but I don't think I can rank it higher than Exile and Seven. I think it's on the same level for me. But August is so devastating, and like I feel so bad for Augustine, like so, so bad for her, because it must be so awful to have fallen for a boy only to realize that he was in love with someone else the entire time and that he was basically just hanging out with you because Betty wouldn't talk to him. Like, ugh. And then at the end, it's like, I mean, I get the idea. To me, I always got the impression that when she says "never have I ever before," that it meant that she'd like never had sex before, and then she lost her virginity to James, and then he dumped her. I could be wrong, but that's how I always interpreted it, which just makes it even worse. The fact that she like, gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that James and Betty ended up together in the end, but also James sucks. Punch him in the face. And that bridge is incredible. It's like, remember when I pulled up and said, get in the car, and I canceled my plans just in case you called. Back when I was living for the hope of it all, for the hope of it all. Meet me behind the mall. So good. So good. Uh, this is me trying as indifference. Um, I hardly ever listen to This Is Me Trying, maybe just because it's so, so sad. I remember my friend texting me when she heard it and being like, it actually brought me to tears because it was too real. And like, I completely get it because it is heartbreaking. And maybe that's just why I don't listen to it. Maybe it's just too sad and it upsets me, but I don't listen to it very often. So it'll go in there with Mirrorball. Illicit Affairs. I want to put it in Marvelous Tune. I do like Illicit Affairs. I don't think it's the best song from Evermore, obviously. But no, I do like it. Anybody who managed to fit the word clandestine in their song is good for me. I love that word. Yeah. Clandestine meetings and long and stairs. It's born from just one single glance, but it dies and it dies and it dies a million little times. And then it's like, what is it? Something like what started in hotel rooms ends with meetings in parking lots. Like, it's a great song about the disaster it is when you try and have an affair. It should put anybody off having an affair, is what I think. Invisible God tier. I love Invisible String so much. When she swapped it out of Eras Tour for the one, I was fuming because I love. People were like, I can't believe she played Invisible String. Like, it's not even like that good a song. I was like, all of you, shut the fuck up. Like, Invisible String. I love it so, so much. It's so great. I love the beat of it, like that guitar line of it. And the lyrics, like green was the grass where I used to read in Centennial Park. I used to think that I would meet somebody there. Teal was the color of your shirt when you were 16 at the yogurt shop you used to work at to make a little money. Like, the lyrics are so good, and the fact that she's like, she says, like, oh, and there was this invisible string tying you to me. And then in Willow, she has the gold thread and the music video to like symbolize like the string tying you to me, because she's like, one single thread of gold tied me to you, which is like the same as like the string that the string, she says, like, the string that pulled me, out of all the wrong arms into out of all the wrong arms right into that dive bar, and then she talks about the single thread of gold that tied me to. It's beautiful. I love it, and I love the analogy of the. I mean, it's not usually an invisible string; it's like the red string, which is why there's that trope of being strangled by the red string, where it's like, there's a string that connects us to the person that we're meant to be with. But then they say that if it's in a trope, when it's like a really bad ship, they say that it was strangled by the red string. But anyway, that's what she means. But she can't use red string because red is not true love. Gold is true love. This woman, her mind. Anyway. Oh, crikey, Mad Women. Okay, I've got a lot to say about that. Mad Women is God tier. So the thing about Mad Women. So Taylor wrote Mad Women about Scooter Braun and Scott Borchetta when they stole her records, like when they wouldn't give her back her masters and let her earn any money off of her music after she quit the record label. So it's about a business. It's not about a personal relationship. It's about a business relationship with two people who are intentionally trying to ruin your life and take your source of income. Like, this is her money. Like, this is her music that earns her money, and they were trying to deprive her of that so that she couldn't earn any money off of it. So they were trying to take her income from her and ruin her career and just being huge dickheads. And I related to that song so much when it came out in 2020 because that was the exact situation that I was going through at my job. And if you ever want to hear about it, I have a video on my channel called Laws, Talks, Experiences in a Toxic Workplace. Um, it's very, very long, but it was cheaper than therapy. Why pay for a therapist when you can turn on a camera and rant for 2 hours? Um, but yeah, so when she says things like, so for her there was two people. So she says, about it's about Scott and Scooter, and she says it's obvious that wanting me dead really brought you two together, and that was how I felt because there was two people at my work. It was the CEO and our head of HR who um were orchestrating my downfall and trying to bully me out of a job just because they didn't like me. And so it's obvious that Wanting Me Dead really brought you two together, spoke to me so much. But it was the fact that anytime I tried to speak up at work about the way that I was being treated, all that did was add fuel to their argument that I was not good because it was like, oh, well, now she's making a fuss. She's being fussy. She's problematic. She's difficult to work with. Look at her being difficult. Like, why are you not just sitting down and quietly and doing your work? Why are you causing trouble? Like, you troublemaker. So that was how it felt. It was like I felt like a mad woman. You know what I mean? Like I felt like, and I mean, in two ways. I was mad, as in I was angry at the situation, but I also felt like I was going mad because it was as if I was like, I can't believe this is the reality of this situation. Like this is insane. This is so stupid. Like I can't believe this is what I'm going through right now. And it was, no one likes a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. Just hit me like a ton of bricks when I listened to this album because this was exactly how I felt. And I used to sit, when we finally went back to the office after the pandemic, I had my headphones on most of the time. And I had my headphones on to make it look as if I was in meetings. And well, my excuse was that if I kept my headphones on, it meant that when my phone rang, it meant that it wasn't disturbing other people in the office with the jingle of the Teams notifications. The reality was I had it on because I was listening to music and trying really hard to block out every kind of thought. Because if I didn't, I was just going to sit there and slowly go mad. But I used to play Mad Woman a lot in the office because it was cathartic. But yeah, like every lyric in that song, I can relate to with that situation where it was like, you know, what did you think I'd say to that? Does a scorpion sting when fighting back? They strike to kill, and you know I will. Like that was how it felt. Like where it was like, they would say stuff to me, and I'm like, what did you think I'd say to that? Like, and then but then if I did strike back, then that made the situation worse because they would use that against me. So it was like being suffocated because it was like I couldn't speak up for myself because anything I did say made it worse. But if I didn't speak up, nothing would ever change, and it was unbearable. And Taylor completely knew how I felt, and that's probably why I love Mad Women so much because I absolutely relate to that song. Epiphany is I Forgot That You Existed. I'm not going to put it in Death by Electric Chair because that feels incredibly mean considering it's a song about her grandfather in the war and about the COVID pandemic. So being like Death by Electric Chair is harsh. But I don't like Epiphany. It's just not my vibe at all. Like, I don't like the tune, the actual melody of it, and I never listened to it, so yeah, no, it's not for me. Betty is obviously god tier. Betty is one of the best songs she has ever written. When it came on and I heard the harmonica, I was like, God, this album just continues to surprise me. Like, I thought I had got by this point, I thought I had got the gist of what she was going for, and then she whips out a harmonica, and I'm like, I was so not prepared. But of course, when we get to Betty, and at first I was like, because at first I didn't realize folklore was like mostly fictional, like not all of it, obviously, Mad Woman, Invisible String, Last Great American Dynasty. But there are songs in there that were fictional, and I was like, "Who is Betty?" I'm like, "Who the hell is Betty?" Like, so I was like, "Who is Betty?" But then when I actually got through the song, I was like, "Oh, oh, this is the girl from Cardigan." Because when they get to the end, it's like standing in your cardigan. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I was like, wait, the girl. And that was when I realized that Cardigan, August, and Betty are all one story, and I lost my mind because I had no idea when I went into the album that that was a thing. And when I realized that at the end of Betty, I could not believe it. I was like, that is incredible. That is incredible to write a story through three songs from three different perspectives is absolutely wonderful. Like it reminds me of so one of my favorite artists ever is the singer Heather Dale. And Heather writes songs about myth and legend. So she's written an entire album. Well, she's written a lot of albums, but like she has an album called Avalon, and every song on that album is about Arthurian legend. But they all come from different perspectives and different parts of the story. And if you listen to the album from start to finish, you get the entire story of King Arthur, basically. But she has songs from Arthur's perspective, Guinevere's perspective, like Merlin's perspective, a song about Vivienne. Like there are so like, and I suppose that's kind of what that reminded me of, is because she writes songs by putting herself in someone else's shoes. So like she wrote like As I Am, Arthur singing to Guinevere. She's got For Guinevere, which is from Lancelot's perspective. The Trial of Lancelot, which is given the perspectives of all the different knights at Lancelot's trial. And she's putting herself in the shoes of these characters to write songs from their perspective. And that's one of the things I love most about her music, is the way that she makes you feel and the way that she can bring these characters to life through her music. And so that's kind of what this reminded me of, is getting like this story from different perspectives and different songs reminded me a lot of Heather's music. So yeah, I think that's part of why I loved it so much. If you never listened to Heather Dale, go do it, because you're missing out on truly one of the most talented artists on the planet. But Betty is, even if Betty wasn't connected to Cardigan in August, it would still be one of the best songs she'd ever made, because it's just so good. Do I listen to it and in my head only ever see Betty Cooper from Riverdale? 100%. Do I picture it being sung by Veronica? 100%. Like, this is the thing. I can't listen to Cardigan, Betty, and August without picturing Betty, Archie, and Veronica from Riverdale. But I picture Veronica as being Augustine, and Betty as being Betty, and obviously Archie as being James. But I picture Veronica singing Betty as well as August, because I still, in my whole heart, believe that Betty should be with Veronica and neither of them should be with Archie, because Archie is a loser. And Betty and Veronica should have been together the entire time, and Jughead should be with Tabitha because Jabitha forever. Anyway, this is not about Riverdale. Peace. Peace. Maple Leaf status. I love this song. I know I heard someone online said they can't listen to Beast because the actual beeping noise in the background sets off their like misophonia or tinnitus or something. And I was like, I'd never thought of that, but yeah, now that you point it out, like that beeping noise probably would drive you mad if you've got some kind of like sonically related condition. But I think Peace is one of her most beautiful songs. Like the lyrics are so gorgeous, there's clouds to the east, robbers to the west. I give you my sunshine, give you my best, but the rain is always going to come if you're standing with me. Is so beautiful. And she said in the Long Pond sessions that it's about how she feels that any boy that she's with, particularly Joe, obviously at the time, she can never give them a normal life because her life will never be normal. And she's like, you can be with me if you want, but you have to be prepared for the fact that my life is chaos and I will never be able to give you peace. Um, but you can hear it's one of her most vulnerable, most raw songs where she's saying, I give you my wilds, give you a child. Like, she's like, I want everything. I want to have a real relationship with you, but I don't know how we're ever going to be able to have that when I'm who I am and this is my life. Heartbreaking, but I think it's gorgeous. I love Peace so much. And the actual tune of it, like, the beeping noise I can understand, but I don't really hear it when I listen to it. The actual tune of it, I think she said in Long Pond sessions that when Jack, was it Jack? I feel like it was Jack, gave her the tune for it, the instrumental track. She said that it made her feel peace. She's like, that song is peace. That's what the song's going to be about. It's going to be about peace. And she's right, because I find it such a peaceful tune that if I just listened to the instrumental, I could probably just lie in the grass and listen to it and just feel so free. I love it. Hoax. So Hoax is also about Scooter Braun. Um, but I think this one is probably th- yeah, I would say it's probably up there with like Mirror Ball and This Is Me Trying. Standing on the cliffside screaming, "Give me a reason, your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in," is one of the most beautiful lyrics I've ever heard. Yeah, so I think Hoax is beautiful. And again, it's, about someone taking her voice, taking her music, taking her songs. You know, it's yeah, heartbreaking. Not one of my favorites off the album though. And then the Lakes. The Lakes is Maple Leaf status. Um, I love the lakes so much, and I'm desperate to go to the actual lakes. I've always wanted to go to the Lake District, but I'm desperate to go to the Lake District and stand there and sing this song to myself. I love, you know, I've come too far to watch some. I've come too far to let some name dropping sleaze tell me what are my words worth. So clever, like Wordsworth is in the poet, and it's where the poets went to die. So clever. The only line that I don't like from The Lakes that kind of takes me out of the song is a red rose grew up out of ice frozen ground with no one around to tweet it. I kind of wish she hadn't brought up Twitter in a song that's so poetic and about like being in the lakes and where the poets with the dead poets like to just kind of be like talking about Twitter really because then it just makes me think of like if you say it in a tweet, that's a knockout. No, if you say it in the street, that's a knockout. But if you say it in a tweet, that's a cop out. Like it just makes me think of that, and I'm like, don't make me think of you need to calm down when I'm listening to the lakes. But other than that, lyrically beautiful, and the line I bathe in cliffside pools with my calamitous love and insurmountable grief is one of my favourite lyrics she has ever written, ever. I think about that all the time. I bathe in cliffside pools with my calamitous love and insurmountable grief. Incredible. Poetry. Love it. Okay, so that was all of Folklore, and now I'm super excited because we are about to go into my favorite Taylor Swift album of all time. I am so excited for this. Let's do it Evermore.